okay? Our footwork here, read, pace, pedal, all right? When we first start out, our read equals a patient kick slide to shuffle to our shuffle footwork, right? So it can be a shuffle kick here, all right? Or it can just be a read step. However you want to play that out, right? We're just trying to make sure that we're reading through the quick game, all right? We talk about taking at least 3 kick slides. Now, it just depends on your situation. This could, if you got a speed receiver here and you got to get ready to go and get into a pedal, you can abort the read steps after the first read and get going. All right, it really dictated off of the release in number 1. Okay, that feeds into point 2, the pace. All right, so now after we get through our read steps, we want to match the pace and the tempo of the release of our receiver that we're working off of. All right, we want to try and match that release as much as possible with our pedal pace. If he's jogging out of his route, we don't want to be flying out of there and creating more space between us when we don't need it, all right? Case in point, if he's flying out of there, I don't want to be slow pedaling and then get my cushion broke earlier, and now I got to open and run and try to run with the guy who's running by me, because we all know once you're even, he's leaving, okay? Versus tight ends, we tend to be a little bit more patient, right? So I understand my kick slides, I can sit on that break point a little more, because obviously if I'm a DB covering a tight end, we count those as inferior positions matchups. So I shouldn't be threatened by a tight end vertical. It gives me a little bit more ability to sit on the break point 10 to 12 yards. And 3 is our pedal, right? Once we've gone through our read and our pace, now we end up in our pedal footwork. It's just a pedal and weave to try and keep our leverage, whether it's inside or outside. And then once our cushion is broken, we usually say that's 3 yards away from the receiver. Now we just got to kick and open up and key that leverage shoulder as much as possible, all right? And then the last point says treat tight ends differently than receivers. That obviously goes back to the last point of being able to sit on those break points with a square position more than having to feel like you need to kick yourself open. All right, here's some EDDs that go along with this. We're talking about that read and pace mechanics here, all right? Just focusing on those, taking that read step. And this is really not a kick slide. This is more of just working that read forward. Read, and then pace. And now you can speed it up or you can slow it down. Pace, open them up. Just working, getting some pre-practice, some mobility working here, getting the hips turned around, getting the blood flowing, getting it ready to go. All right? Get a read step, get a pace, and then open up. All right, really not working on trying to get a fast pedal here, but just working on transitioning from that read step to the pace and pedal. All right, and we transition in both ways, right? We're read, pace, turn. Now we're open, getting back to a square, open the other way, ball. End every drill with the ball as much as possible. All right, so taking a look at these clips in some live action situations, right? Is a good look at the corner taking that read step, understanding his pace in this situation. Does it dictate him having to get in the pedal? Right? So now he can sit on that break point, break and drive on the quick game, be ready to make a play. Right? Good look. That's a good look there. Same thing here. You can see the corner down bottom here. Patient read step, getting to his reads. It takes a patient read step right here, right? Getting to his pedal footwork. Right? Trying to match that pace. You like to see his pace be a little faster here in his pedal to try and stay on top, but obviously matching the speed for speed, trying to get in phase. Now here we're zone turning in our man coverage, right? Trying to get visual on the quarterback so that we can make a play on the ball as well. All right, pedal brake mechanics, okay? Pedal brake mechanics. We try and break these things down as much as possible, but the biggest point is, like I said right here, arm action equals key. All right, a lot of times you hear receiver coaches talking about that arm action at the top of the break, matching the footwork so that they can shut themselves down and be ready to transition and break in another direction. It's got to be the same thing for the defensive back, right? So when we break this thing down into the arm action drills, right, it's a W drill, but we're focusing on that break and drive with the arms. You can see them at the top right here, break and drive. It should be hard arm action out of these breaks to then propel us and put us going in the direction we want to go. All right, dead arms equals dead feet equals bad brakes. You can see the difference between 3 and 42 here, right? No arms at the top, stumble out of your brake. He's lucky he's got some quick twitch here, but he stumbles out of the brake, right? Not as clean as you want it to be. Great arm action here, or solid arm action. I wouldn't say this is great, but you like to see a little bit more aggressiveness out of their brakes. So you can see it right here, 39 to 38. That's the kind of arm action you want to see, right? Help propel them and push them in the direction that they want to go. Right, and again, with these drills, we're breaking off the quarterback, we're breaking off coach or the quarterback, getting the ball at the top. Right? Sitting at the top of this route, great break and drive here, right? Arm action is what's going to help you, right? Now, obviously, his outside arm gets stuck on the man, but you like to see both arms coming out of this break point, driving the thing downhill. It's a solid action right here. You like to see a little bit more at the top with his arms. He gets into it late, right? His arms go dead, they come out to the side, and then he gets into that arm action and then end up in catch-up mode, right? But if you start that way from the jump, right, now you put yourself in a position to now take that angle, go make that play on the top shoulder, all right, and be in a better position. See right here, arms go out to the side, and then now they transition to that break and drive mechanics downhill. Our biggest point in those W drills is to try and circumnavigate that, cut that out, cut that part out of the play, so now we can just get to that. All right, and then open and break, okay? So now we end up in we're saying our cushion's already been broken here in the pedal. Now we're just opening, break 45, go. Again, arm action is the key here. We don't want our arms going dead. You can see the difference between 39 and 38 here. Get that break and drive. That's great arm action by 38 here, break and drive downhill. Again, good look here, right? Gets opened. Arms go a little dead at the top, right? But then that break and drive, you can see the arm action, that arm's pumping, helps him get that catch-up speed going, so now I can put him in a better position to make a play. That's a great catch by that receiver. All right, now we're just going to open, right? Cushion's broken, open, and now we're just saying we zone turned or we got an inside release and we're opening to close to the hip, and he breaks back out on a comeback here, right? Now we got to put our foot in the ground and transition in a different direction, right? You can work all different directions, all the different types of breaks off the routes that you're going to get, right? Both 45 and 90-degree turns, right? We're opening, closing to the hip. He breaks out on a comeback. Now I got to put my foot in the ground, shut it down, arm action, right? Break and drive and get me in the direction I need to go. Right? He gets opened out. It's an out-breaking route. Again, like to limit the hands to the side, right, on the break, but that arm action coming out is what you need. And again, his inside arm gets stuck, but you can see it with the outside arm, right? When you get both of those arms pumping and getting in that direction, that's where that closing speed, that make-up speed, that break point speed comes from.